Hi, my name is Kathryn. I'm a cybersecurity consultant in Tokyo, Japan, and today I'm going to be sharing 5 things that has changed since passing the CISSP.
Singing under sunshine, do you feel it too? La 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 la. Trees and flowers smiling as the wind goes through. La 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 la. Oh, it's a shadow. Birds are flying higher than ever. Oh, I say it's like a photo. Blue skies, see you tomorrow. It's a lovely, lovely day to me.
Right, so before I start diving into the 5 topics that I'll be talking about, I want to share a little bit about how I decided to take the CISSP and what I do, and just a little bit about myself. So I've been working in Japan for the past 2 years, less than 2 years, in the cybersecurity domain, and I took the CISSP 5 months ago, about 5 months ago in September of 2021, and since then I changed jobs, and it's been 5 months at my new company. And because I only have 2 years of experience, I'm still not a fully certified CISSP. For those who are not familiar with how the CISSP works, you have to be a fully certified CISSP, you need to, first of all, pass the exam, and also you'll need to have 5 years of experience to be a fully certified CISSP. And for me, because I only have when I passed the exam, I only had a year and a half experience. So, yeah, as of now, I still have 3 years of experience that I need to gain. And then after 3 years, I'll be a fully certified CISSP. I want to explain why, in the first place, I decided to take the CISSP. So, as I've already mentioned, I've only been in the cyber security, well, technically in IT for less than 2 years. I got my first job after university at a IT vendor, one of the database vendors, and I was working as a IT consultant. But I was kind of interested in the security area, so I was fortunate to be focusing on the IAM solutions, identity and access management cloud solutions. So I was doing like the implementation of the SaaS system, and then integrating with the PaaS, ES, and so as well as cloud services and on-premise systems. So the implementation and integration of systems. And as I was doing that, I got really interested in cybersecurity itself, not just the IAM domain, but I got more interested in, say, like the other incident response process, or how do we secure our assets, like meaning physical and also, well, virtual and other assets as well. But I'm kind of like the person who, once you get interested, you want to know everything. So I was talking to my colleagues and bosses at my last job, and they were like, "Oh, have you ever heard about the CISSP? It's a notoriously difficult exam, but it covers most of the domains, or yeah, well, technically all the domains of cybersecurity you should know as a manager." So I was like, "Oh, okay, it sounds interesting." And fortunately, with the last company, we had O'Reilly, so I started reading the official study guide for the CISSP just out of curiosity. I just wanted to know how things worked. And then I learned all like the basic principles. So, like out of I forgot how many domains the CISSP has, but there's like, I think 8 domains. I think I only had like 1 or 2 that I was familiar with. And because I have a background in law, I wasn't too bad with the regulations area as well, and the IAM, I mean. But other than that, it was kind of like a new experience, which kind of makes sense. I have another video on how I study for the CISSP, so please check it out. You would know what I mean there, I guess. But yeah, I was I can tell now that it's a exam for the managers who's got the experience, because for me it was like everything was so new. I had to learn everything from scratch. So just reading the textbook, there would be so many things just I wouldn't understand why. I just don't quite get it, and then I would know, okay, like I basically don't know the basic concepts before I understand this concept. So I had to go through like other materials and then learn and come back. So it took me quite some time to learn, but my goal was not to pass the CISSP, but was to kind of get like a holistic view of like what the cybersecurity whole thing was. So I quite frankly enjoyed it like a lot. And then like after a few months, because around the time I took the exam, they changed the exam last year in May, I think it was. So like the old material I was reading, they changed the textbook, so I had to start like rereading. But then like at that point I was like, well, I'm kind of starting to get familiar with these ideas, like why not just, I may as well just take it and pass the exam. So that's kind of how I got into it. And also I was like, reading and watching some YouTube videos, and a lot of people were saying that like once they pass the CISSP, they got a higher pay or they had got a better opportunity. And also a lot of the jobs posted, they always require the CISSP, even for the entry level, junior level positions, which I think is a huge problem. But anyways, so I was like, oh, okay, like if I pass the CISSP, maybe I have a chance of getting a job in those positions, because that's what they say. So I was like, okay, let's just do it. So yeah, overall it took me over 6 months to actually pass the exam. I got busy with work too in between, so yeah, again, watch my CISSP video if you're currently studying. If you're interested, please do. But anyways, that's how so I just kind of got into the CISSP out of curiosity, and because I enjoyed it so much, I just passed it in the end. Yeah, so that is how I started studying for the CISSP. The 5 things that's changed. The first thing is that I gained so much knowledge. If you've seen the CISSP book, I think you would know, but it's like a really thick book. And for me, I studied it with on Kindle, so I couldn't really feel how thick it was. But even watching other people's videos holding their books, I was like, oh my gosh, that is such a huge book. And for me, because I studied it on Kindle, I was like, I keep flipping the pages, but it just never ends. And I thought you skip through textbooks like once or twice, and then you start really focusing on which domains you're weak at, and then you really get into the studies. But I was surprised as to the not having an end at all. So it almost it kind of almost broke me sometimes. But after all, because overall, because I went through that experience, I learned so much. And yeah, the good thing is that what has changed because of that is, before at work, I had so much things that I didn't know, even a basic knowledge. So say a client comes to you with a concept that you don't know or you're not familiar with, I had to kind of freeze. But then my bosses, they told me I'm supposed to Google it on the spot and pretend I kind of know, or if it kind of you decide on the spot if you can explain it there, or if it's something that you need to go back and then check with the team, or so like basically just have some sort of answer to whatever the questions that the client gives to you. But even though I knew that, I always froze and I lost my confidence because I was like, okay, where do I start? I don't even know this. Like, who do I ask? But after the CISSP, because the exam kind of puts like the basic understanding, or at least the theory of how things are supposed to be. Like, I can sort of like think first, absorb the idea, and then think first, and then be like, okay, maybe I need to ask that person, or I'll be like, okay, it works this way, but I need to confirm it with the team, or I need to, read another source and then provide the information. So it has provided me so much knowledge that it has given me so much confidence as well, and it's been such a blessing, to be honest with you. So that's the first thing that's changed. And the second thing that kind of it kind of relates to this too, but it made me a better decision maker. So yeah, I kind of explained the flow of like how I decide, or how I kind of think about the answers that I give to my clients. So like, thanks to the CISSP, it's not only the knowledge, but it kind of makes you get used to having like this framework of thoughts. It's not exactly like logical thinking. It is logical thinking, but because you have to practice so many times for the exam. The exam is quite interesting in a way how it's built. It's not like an easy exam because it's not like this. I think it was 5 choices, but it's not like one exam, one question answer is you can tell by instance that it's wrong. All the answers are kind of right, but you have to choose the one that is perfect for that situation, or which works the best in that situation. So when you go through an exam like that, it kind of helps in your work as well, making you a better decision maker, because when you're faced with, say, a set of problems, you have to go through these problems logically, and you also need to decide on the spot, or you have to kind of come up with some sort of answer on the spot, like whether to give the answer right there, or not decide there on the spot. So make the decision not to decide there, and then take it back to your team and then decide and come back. But for that too, like, you sort of have the framework of how you're supposed to think. So even in a not so familiar situation, you can kind of come up with your theory, and then go through your decision making framework, and then kind of give the answer with confidence. So yeah, it's made me a lot better person. I mean, a lot better. I'm not a manager yet, but I feel like, I'll be a pretty good manager, because you need to look like what's going on, and no one's gonna want to like listen to someone who seems not so sure about what she's saying, or she's kind of like always, you can see like her thought pattern, be like, oh, she's probably just perplexed, or she doesn't know what she's doing. You don't really want to listen to a manager like that, especially not a consultant, because you're consulting the consultant for advice. So if the consultant seems confused, why would you hire that consultant in the first place? So yeah, that's the second thing. And the third thing, this I am feeling so blessed and happy about, is that just by passing the CISSP, I got to be part of this huge, warm network of cybersecurity professionals. So as I've mentioned before, previous to passing the CISSP, I was working as an IT consultant, and within that consulting work, I was doing the security solutions. So it's not like I was like a full cybersecurity consultant. So I didn't quite know like where these cybersecurity professionals were, and I didn't feel like I was in the cybersecurity community. But after I passed the CISSP, it's kind of interesting. I posted, like, when you pass the CISSP at the test center, they give you this piece of paper which says like you provisionally passed the CISSP. So I've seen a few posts of people posting like, oh, I provisionally passed, like, yay, kind of thing. And I didn't know that the CISSP was such a huge deal, so I just casually posted like, I passed the CISSP on my post on my LinkedIn as well. And then it went crazy. Like, I usually only get like 20 likes or something. And then within like a day or a few hours, I was like 100 and something. And I was like, okay, this is kind of crazy. And then it kept going and going and going. And overall, I had like 700 likes and like about 100 comments or something from like random people all over the world. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I've never seen this happen. And I was just quite frankly overwhelmed, and I didn't even get one like negative comment from anybody. Everybody was so happy for me. Like, these people that I don't even know, they were so happy for me, and they wrote in the comments that they were encouraged, and a lot of them asked me how I studied for the exam. And because I'm Japanese Canadian, so kind of my Japanese side, I'm like, well, it's just an exam. I don't really like push my achievements that too much. Like, I'm just like, okay, I passed, it's okay, not a big deal. But everybody's like, you have to, like, it's a big deal, like you have to celebrate. It's like, you did so well. And I was like, oh my gosh, these people are so nice. And so yeah, basically I was just overwhelmed by the reaction. But the good thing that followed was that like so many people followed me, and also I got to know a lot of people by them following me. I joined like a lot of the other communities, and so basically I was welcomed into the community as a cybersecurity professional. And what the good thing that happens is that like you get to know more people, so you'll have more information on the industry, which is great for work. But also, like, because I really like cybersecurity, so it's kind of like, having like someone very passionate about the same thing as you are, it's a lot of fun. You can share your thoughts and ideas on your work. Or I couldn't do that before the CISSP, especially I think because in Japan there's not that many people who's that crazy about cybersecurity. So I was kind of like the only one going really crazy for cybersecurity back at my old company too. They were like, oh, you really like cyber, like, good for you, kind of thing. I only do this because it's my job. So yeah, it kind of led me to get to know people who's equally passionate as I am, and make me grow as a professional as well. So yeah, that was such a great thing. And yeah, that's the third thing. And the fourth thing, I think something that everybody's wondering is the salary increase, the money. So with this, because in my case, I didn't have an increase in salary. So unfortunately it didn't work for me. But the reason for that is because because I was studying for the CISSP. While I was studying, I just kind of thought like, oh, maybe I want to move to something that I can do cybersecurity full time. So I kind of casually started job hunting while I was studying for the CISSP, and then I got the job first in about June or July. I got the offer letter, and then I passed the CISSP in September. So I should have passed before getting the job offer, but it was the other way around. So, yes, I was talking about like I'm studying for the CISSP while I was taking the interviews for the jobs, but and then they're like, oh wow, like you're actually studying for that, good for you. But I hadn't passed, so if you haven't passed, it's like anybody can claim that they're studying for it, but if you haven't passed, it's basically nothing for the employers. So yeah, maybe I should have been a bit more strategic, but for me, I couldn't really like negotiate based on my certificate, so I didn't really get a salary increase, or I couldn't really negotiate. But yeah, when I did say that I started studying for this CISSP out of curiosity, but once I got to know more of like the exam, I saw a lot of videos or LinkedIn posts saying like after I passed the CISSP, my salary increased like I don't know some percent, or I got a much better job offer. So I was like, oh, maybe like that will happen to me too, but it didn't work in my case. Yeah, and but yeah, I am looking forward to my next promotion because not everybody has the CISSP. So I hope I can, if I get my next promotion, when I get my next promotion, I can probably negotiate on my having a better salary, or when I want to change jobs again, I can probably use the CISSP in the next job. But yeah, that is the fourth thing. And the fifth thing, it's again kind of related to the fourth good thing that happened, the fourth matter, but I am no longer afraid of job postings that require the CISSP. So I know this is kind of like I wouldn't call it a problem, but well, I guess it is a problem, an issue in this industry. But while the CISSP requires 5 years of experience, or you have a degree in cyber or information security, I think, you have to have 5 years of experience, and then you pass the exam, and then you're fully qualified. But for entry-level junior positions, they usually write like CISSP required. It's better if it's CISSP preferred, but like in theory, like it's not exactly possible because you don't even have the experience. Like if you have 5 years of experience, you're not going to be applying for an entry-level position, so it doesn't make any sense. But I was kind of naive and stupid, so I was like, 5 months ago, a year ago, I was like, oh, okay, if I pass the CISSP, I can probably, I'll be probably hired. Yeah, because I didn't know like they required a 5-year experience, so I just got it. But, so for me, technically, I'm not a fully certified CISSP because I only have 2 years of experience, so I still need to wait 3 years to be, so that I can claim that I'm a fully certified CISSP. But what I do is that I write in my resume that I'm a associate of ISC Square, and then I write in the back like I passed the CISSP and I'm waiting for the required years of experience to pass. Because I passed the exam just like everybody else who's fully certified, so I don't want to there's quite a lot of people who aren't really familiar with the associate of ISC Square concept. So they're like, what is this? What are you writing this? And usually a lot of the recruiters or employers they ignore that status. So I just write it's technically a CISSP, but I'm just not fully certified. So, but I don't know if the companies will see that I have the CISSP. But I'm not afraid of these job postings saying CISSP preferred or required, because I passed it, so I don't, it's not stopping me from applying to these positions. So yeah, that is the fifth point, and that is all the things that's changed since passing the CISSP. But yeah, before I finish, I have to say, like, for me personally, the CISSP, passing the CISSP, changed, or I mean, finding the CISSP and passing changed really my career, because, like, quite frankly, I wasn't sure if I really wanted to do cybersecurity, and I didn't know, like, if I wanted to, like, really focus on this one particular area. So, I was kind of hesitant to make the decision, but because I found the CISSP and I learned all these concepts, and it just really made me excited and happy, and I really am, like, very lucky to be in this industry, helping many companies as a consultant. I like consulting as well, so it's kind of like a dream job for me. I get to help companies with what I'm passionate about. So yeah, the CISSP helped me find my passion and focus on my passion. And it is a pretty hard exam, I'm not gonna lie. uh, but I mean, I'm glad because, working now at my current job, like, say, there's a lot of people, like, I'm not gonna blame this particular person, but it's just you'll encounter a lot of people who's like, what is the, I don't know, what's layer 2? And I'm like, you don't know what a layer 2 is, or I don't know, the basic networking principles or cloud, like the cloud concepts. You don't go that deep into details, but you need to know the basics if you're a consultant. So yeah, maybe if you're thinking about taking the exam, maybe you can just casually start reading the textbook and figure out, if it's for you or not. You might just enjoy it too. Like, I just see it that way, I just do what makes me happy and whatever that I enjoy. So yeah, thanks for watching and see you in the next video. Bye bye.